Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So as we know
Good
that,
afternoon, sir.
yeah, as we know that we already started our formal class of Department of Anthropology, Mrinalini Mahavidyapith, and on the basis of the WBCU CBCS syllabus, my portion is on the biological anthropology concept, how this biological anthropological understanding is related to the anthropological understanding as a whole. So in that particular context, yesterday, I explained a little bit of the basic understanding of biological anthropology and specifically the unit 1 of your core course 1 syllabus. So from that point, today I am starting the specific understanding of anthropology and what are the different scopes and aims of biological anthropology. So now let me share my desktop and my presentation. So hope all of you are able to see my PowerPoint. So this is the old PowerPoint. Yesterday I show you that that anthropology, why anthropology is called the journey of knowledge. This is my own understanding. Now, in your syllabus, in unit 1 of the core course 1, we have the biological anthropology, its meaning, aim, and scope, different approaches, including the biocultural, comparative, and evolutionary approaches. What are the different applications of the concept of adaptation and evolution in biological anthropology? What are the different branches and field, and how this biological anthropology is related to the medical and health sciences, life sciences, art sciences, and environmental sciences? So in this connection, I showed you there are few questions. This is relevant for your final or midterm exams. So some of the questions related to the broad questions, number 12, and some of the questions carrying the number 5 questions, the short answer type question, and some of the questions related to the definition type of questions. Now, broad questions include all these questions. One question is very relevant: is what is biological anthropology, and what are the different aim and scopes of biological anthropology, and how for this biological anthropology is related to the different kind of sciences, and specifically in the context of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary understanding. So at the beginning, we have to understand what is anthropology. As I told yesterday, that anthropology is a word which is composed of the 12 letters. And in my perceptions, if you want to understand the anthropology from bottom of your heart, you have to synthesize your mind up to the 12 years. So ANTHROPOLOGY. This is a small word, but a big portion. So anthropology, on the basis of the several definitions, more than 100 definitions, I have made one simplistic definitions of anthropology, and most of the anthropologists, they agreed that these systematic, scientific, adaptation, variation, evolution, time and space, these different kind of words are the basics of the understanding of the anthropology. So when anyone, if anyone will ask about what is anthropology, you can say that anthropology is a systematic and scientific. Why systematic? Because this is scientific. Scientific means it has some hypotheses, objectives, some experiments should occur on the basis of the hypothesis and objectives, and on the basis of the experimental results, we can interpret and we can use the knowledge for the development of the human being, specifically as because anthropology came from the 2 Greek words. First is anthropos, that is called human, and logos, that is the scientific study. Now, out of the several goals of the anthropology, the major two goals is to understand the uniqueness and diversity. Yes. Uniqueness and diversity. Any problem? I think this is the problem of internet connection. So I don't know whether your internet connection or my internet connection. I have well internet connected. Let's start. No problem, because after completing my lecture, I will also upload this lecture in my YouTube channel, or also I can also share you if you want to listen this lecture again. So out of the several goals of anthropology, there are two major goals. First is understand uniqueness and diversities. And this uniqueness and diversities is called the variation. And second is discover the fundamental similarities. So whatever the anthropologists are studying about the human beings, that is the human adaptation. First things, when you exposed of a particular environment, particular ecology, then there is an interaction between the environment and the biotic and abiotic environmental conditions, and ultimately it reflects to the human body. And these reflections, this ecology, you know that this is varied different spaces throughout the world. So if the human beings are living in the different type of ecology and the different type of environments, then obviously there's some variation exist in between them. Variation exists not only in the space scale, variation also exists on the basis of the time scale too. Now the variation, the word is composed of two things. First is the differences and second is the similarities. So if anybody will ask me that what do you mean by variation? Variation, not only the differences, also the similarities. And you know that the Darwin said that if the intraspecific struggle and interspecific struggle occurred, then there are some groups who are getting the survivalness and survivalness of the fittest. And these traits are passing from the one generation to another generation. And this is the major way of understanding the evolution as proposed by Unitarian understanding given by Charles Darwin. Now, whenever you understand as a holistic understanding of anthropological perspectives, now there are three major components. As I told you, that adaptation, variation, and evolution. And these three components are interlinked in between each others, and the central theme of this interlinked understanding is humans. We are studying the human beings on the space of space, and also we are studying the human beings on the basis of the time. And also, as because anthropologists are not only considered the biological identity only, also the cultural and social identity. That is why the famous anthropologist A.L. Graeber said that anthropology is the most humanistic of the sciences and the most scientific of the humanities. As because, as I said earlier, that the study of anthropology not only enrich your knowledge, but also make you the humans who are ready to help the other beings, other human beings, for the well-being of this world. Now, there are four major sub-disciplines of anthropology. First is a biological and physical anthropology. There is a sharp difference between the biological and physical anthropology. Second is the social cultural anthropology. This is the two sides of the same coin. No? So you never differentiate between the social anthropology and cultural anthropology. Third sub-discipline is the prehistoric archaeology. Whenever you are studying the human ancestry till the beginning of writing, then you have to depend on the different cultural materials, different tools, different artifacts, different sites. So on the basis of the using the different kind of skills of this prehistoric man, you can easily reconstruct their cultural understanding of prehistoric man. That is the main theme of prehistoric archaeology. And last subdiscipline is the linguistic anthropology. Now, why physical / biological anthropology? That's because I am studying here the biological anthropology. So, physical means there is some structure, no? So, whenever you are thinking about the human being structure, the first and foremost things that keep into your mind, are coming into our mind, that is the skeletal structure. The structure which is very much important, not only the present human beings, but also the things which have been found in the different parts of the world in the form of the fossil. So whenever you are getting some fossil of the prehistoric man in the different parts of the world, like Australopithecus group, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, and modern, the fossil Homo sapiens sapiens, then you have to compare the structure of this particular fossil record to your human skeleton and try to understand what kind of changes occurred from one species to another species to give rise to a modern human beings. Now, this is the physical anthropology, and that school is very much important. That is, school is very much attached to the physical anthropological concept, that is American School of Anthropology. French Boas, who studied extensively the physical anthropological perspectives in earlier time. But after the discovery of the DNA, after the discovery of the immunogenetics, after the discovery of the immunology, by using the different kind of biotechnological understanding, then apart from the human skeletal structure, we are also able to understand the different kind of cells, diseases, and also the genes, the DNAs, and also the different kind of biological entities, because human body is made not only by the skeletal structure, but also the other different systems. We have 10 kind of systems within which we are mainly emphasizing the structure of the human beings by using the solid understanding of the human skeletal systems. It's because the fossils, the major important things of the anthropology in order to reconstruct our past on the basis of the different fossil materials. So if the fossils are materials is not composed of the different organic parts, then obviously we have to go through the comparative understanding of the fossils and the modern human beings. If the fossils contain somehow some organic part, then the new technology, by using the new technology, we can extract the empty DNA from the bones, and we can compare the reading frame of the empty DNA, that is the mitochondrial DNA, with the DNA of the modern human beings, and you can also able to reconstruct our past. So I would like to give one example. On the basis of the comparative anatomy, previously scientists were believing that the Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, the Neanderthal man, is our common ancestor on the basis of the different kind of fossils of the Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, by comparing these fossils with the modern human beings. Now, after using the extractions of empty DNA from a particular specimen of Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, which have been found in the Siberian region. So, discovered that the Neanderthal man is not our common ancestor. So, you can get this sort of story in Encyclopedia of the Cambridge Encyclopedia of Human Evolution, and where you can understand, if you go through that particular book, you can read that how these concepts are differ by using the two different kind of methods. Now, what the important thing is that this picture we get from Ember book, there are different fields of anthropology. But whenever we are trying to understand the anthropology in a very specific manner as a whole, then all these fields are interlinked, the amalgamated. the synergetic effects. They are basically is a whole understanding of anthropology. And one aspect is a cultural anthropology, and other aspects is physical anthropology. Now, as I told before, that these two are bind together, give the basic understanding research, and that is the applied aspects of anthropology, the basic bone of the applied aspect of anthropology. Now, after that, the field of the anthropology, relatively new discipline, study began only late 1800s. So this is comparatively new discipline in compared to the physics and all these things. But thing is that if you ask me who is the father of anthropology, I would like to say that Herodotus is the father of anthropology, right? So every time, whenever the human beings were existing in this world, so at that particular time, they are trying to understand other human beings. So in the earlier part of the anthropology, in the formative part of the anthropology, anthropologists, not in the name of the anthropologists, but the name of the travelers, ethnographers, they are trying to understand the different behavior of the different cultural human beings. And they have to write different monograph, ethnograph, all these things. So if you want to study, there are a number of study have been done. But the other part of these things, when the modern anthropology came, then anthropologists are basically trying to understand the whole things. On hand, the sociological understanding, on another hand, the mental understanding, that is psychological, behavioral, how the different type of political sciences, the structure, not only the formative structure, but also the structure of a particular simple human beings who are commonly known as tribal people. They have local political governance, and they have very, very good controlling power, surveillance system within a particular community. And also we have the economics aspect, historical aspects, human biological aspect, philosophical aspect, and also the literature. Literature has great impact on the anthropological understanding. So whenever you are studying anthropology, so this is you have to have the capacity to build, to understand the whole other disciplines, and to try to merge those philosophical aspects of the different kind of discipline in a single platform, that is the anthropological platform, on the basis of the time, on the basis of space. Now, what do anthropologists want to understand? First things, they want to understand when, where, and how humans appeared in the earth. So there are a lot of controversies that humans were appeared in Africa, then migrated from Africa to the different parts of the world. Some of the scientists, they believe that yes, obviously they evolved from Africa, then they also evolved from the different kind of continents. Now, next thing is that how and why they have changed things, why the environment have been changed, how this environment have been changed, and how this environment, changing the environment, impact of the life of the human beings, not only in the biological aspects, but also in the cultural aspects. Third important thing is that why and how modern human population vary in certain physical features. Why Negroids differ from the Arctic population. Why Chinese populations differ from the Caucasoid and Negroid populations. Why Andamanis is different from the Santal populations. So these are the basic things, and anthropologists can able to answer those questions. Now, lastly, how and why society, both in the past and present, have varied their customary ideas and practices. Because if you meticulously study the marriage pattern before 10 years, and now the marriage pattern in your family, in your society, then obviously you can say that there is some customary practices changes. Always the society is changing, the changing in nature. So this changing nature is the driving force of the microevolution, and which ultimately give rise to the macroevolutionary perspectives. So lastly, the important thing is that how this anthropological knowledge can be applied to the practical tools. You can use anthropological methods in different disciplines in order to resist the problem, in order to solving the practical problem, and also elevate the misunderstanding different between the different cultural groups. That's very important for the informational purposes. And lastly, to understand the physical differences and how these physical differences give rise to the different physical features. That is important. Now, yes, we can study the human beings in an isolated way, but whenever the question will come that why is anthropology important, then obviously we are going to understand the holism. Holism means the integration. As I always say, we are the student. Not only we understand the biology of the human beings, but also their culture and the differences. Now, I would like to give you some classic examples. This is the understandings of the colonial era, and this is the understandings where American anthropologists and European anthropologists are thinking about the scope of anthropology and understanding of anthropology. I have the opportunity to travel in different parts of South Asia and Southeast Asia. When I've been in Hong Kong and Chinese University, Hong Kong, and if you go to the website of the Chinese University of Hong Kong, you will get that they define anthropology on the basis of only the cultural aspects, the cultural variations between the societies. So they believing that is the only driving force of the anthropology by which they can understand the anthropology as a whole. But no, so there are other aspects, the biological aspects, they are ignoring this fact. I am trying to embed this knowledge to those departments who are basically understand the anthropology as a cultural and social aspects, and basically the discipline of social sciences. They ignore the anthropology as a science, and they ignore the anthropology as a part of the human biology also. Like in Bangladesh, in Bangladesh there are 5 to 6 universities. They are basically study the anthropology as a discipline of social sciences. In not only the Bangladesh, the Thailand, the people, the different kind of people from the social sciences, from psychology, from sociology, from philosophy, they are basically understand anthropology in their own way, and they believing that anthropology is a social science and humanistic science, but they ignore the fact that the relevance of the biocultural understandings. Similar things happen in Malaysia. And if you go to the University of Malaya, there is a department of anthropology and psychology. So psychology and anthropology, and only one anthropologist are mainly involved in this particular department. So if we will go into the Thailand, there are numerous universities, and one of the important university is University of Natswan University, located in Phut Sin Luk, the central part of the Thailand region. So that university I visited there. The Department of Anthropology belong to the social sciences. Similar things happen in China. Similar thing happen in Japan, Philippines, and also in Indonesia. And in Indonesia, the Indonesian University of Indonesia, they have also the Department of Anthropology, and they are basically study the human cultural difference rather than to understand the biocultural differences. So that is the important things why I am telling you there's a great opportunity for you people to understand anthropology as a holistic way, and you can disseminate your understanding. You can able to disseminate your understanding if you get chance to travel in South and Southeast Asian context. So this is my motto in to disseminate the biocultural understanding of anthropology, not only in Indian perspectives, but also the beyond India, where this is very hard enough to embed this knowledge to those people who are meticulously believing that the anthropology is only the understanding of the human culture and difference of the society. Now, why this is scientific methods? I have said that this is descriptive. In one hand, you can study qualitatively the anthropology, and on the other hand, you can study the exploratory by using the quantitative method. Now, in this context, I would like to give one study when anthropology was in a critical time during the 1920, when the psychologists and philosophers, they are tried to tell that anthropology is their segments of their disciplines. Then Professor Nirmal Kumar Bose, who is the founding father of anthropology in University of Calcutta in 1920, he was a geologist in their training, but he, as because of the geological background, he could able to collect the different kind of artifacts, different kind of material culture, and he estimated metrically the different cultural artifacts. And this metric understanding of cultural artifacts and also different kind of tools give, and as a whole, this is called the material culture. And he explained that culture is the quantity. We can measure the cultural artifacts, and that is basically the material cultural, the implements which are made and used by man, not only the present human beings, but also the past human beings. So, two big anthropologists, one is Professor Malinowski and another is Professor Radcliffe Brown. They also collected the different quantitative data during that time from their field, and these three, they build the understanding that the anthropology is not only based on the qualitative understanding only, but it also has some objectivity, that is the quantitative aspects. And that is why in 1920, Professor Nirmal Kumar Bose defined culture as a crystallized phase of man's activity. Whatever the human beings are doing, this is crystallized reflections. We can see it. We can see the laptop. We can see our artifacts. We can see any sort of things. That is why the past human beings, they also able to they manufactured different kind of tools, and tool you can see, you can measure it. So that is why the anthropology exists still today, because of the devotion of Professor Nirmal Kumar Bose and also Professor Radcliffe Brown and Professor Malinowski during the 1920s. Now anthropology is grown enough. Now this is a scientific method, as I have told you, that is a hypothesis on one hand. On the basis of hypothesis, you can collect the data, you can analyze the data, you can theorize the data, and also you can hypothesize your understanding, and also you can verify your hypothesis to give rise to one kind of theories. So whenever I will tell you the background of social culture anthropology in a different class, then I'd like to explain you that why this is theorized and hypothesis is very important for understanding the anthropological knowledge. So that is why there are some steps by which we can prove that the anthropology is a scientific method the anthropologists are using always. Now coming to the context of physical and biological anthropology, as I said that, so you said the Darwin. So Charles Darwin, he is the father of evolution, and he gave the main momentum of understanding of the linear evolution. That is the special dimensions of how these different physical features are differ worldwide. Some of the features are basically Mongoloid origin, some of the features are Caucasoid origin, and some of the features related to the always heard that they are coming from our animal ancestry, the primate ancestry, and our closest animal ancestry is known as the primate ancestry. They're known as chimpanzee. Know that chimpanzee, they are living in the central part of the Africa. Now, whenever you are understanding the physical anthropology, they are mainly concerned of the human beings as a biological entity. So biological entity is very specifically. Now, here also we are studying the human biological adaptation, human biological variation, and human biological evolution. These three important things. And what are the sub-disciplines? There are paleoanthropology, primatology, forensic, genetics, and huge, etc. and etc. I will go for it. Now, physical anthropology is a study of human biology in framework of the evolutions. Now, come into the evolutions. We have the two kind of evolutions. What do you mean by evolution? Evolution is a slow and gradual process from formation of one species from another species. After one species, how this one species is formed from the other species. And this process is based on the two sub-processes. First is the macroevolution. Obvious genetic changes occur within a species in every generation. You know that during the gamete formation in every sexual organisms, including the humans, during the gamete formation, during the formation of the sperm and ovum, there is a meiosis cell division occurred in the body of the mother and father. And during the meiosis cell division, chiasmata has been formed and crossing over has been occurred. And during the crossing over, genetic material has been exchanged. So, due to the exchange of genetic material, new form has been formed, and these kind of changes, if happen from one generation to the next generation, that is obviously the change of the microevolution. And if the microevolutions occurred in every generation after the 100 generations, you can get a gross change, and that is called the macroevolution. So, evolution contains two kinds of processes. One is macroevolutions and another is microevolution. Microevolutions always happening in every generation. Now, what are the different scopes of physical and biological anthropology, and specifically biosocial and biocultural anthropology? That is our main motto. First is the human anatomy. As I said, that human anatomy is the backbone of understanding that human anatomy. If you dissect the human body, you can get the different kind of layers from the outer to inner surface. So that is the human anatomical distributions. The systems are distributed within which the skeletal muscular system is one of the important systems for anthropological understanding, because we have to understand the modern human skeletal system by which you can compare our evolutionary past. We can compare the different fossil materials. So human anatomy is very important. So within which osteology means the study of the human skeleton. The study of the human skeleton, you have to study very meticulously the different bones. You can use this knowledge not only in fossil understanding, not only reconstruct, to reconstruct our evolutionary past, but also you can use it for the forensic anthropology. Forensic anthropology is very, very important portion. Now, this is paleoanthropology. Paleo means old, and anthropology. Anthropology is human and scientific study. The study of the scientific study of the old humans. Old humans, the biological entity, that is the fossils. By using the excavation as explorations, we can able to find out that the scientists already excavated the different sites and they reconstruct our evolutionary past. This is the sites of South Africa, Ridley sites, where you can they got the Australopithecus africanus, Australopithecus afarensis fossil. So this see the paleoanthropologist Raymond Clark, 2 million years old. He just whipping out the debris related to the fossil materials is stuck in the limestone matrix, and this is very, very meticulous job. It needs a long time to detach these fossils from the actual sites. Now, after that, Evan Simons in Fayum in Egypt, he was collecting the remains of earliest anthropoids like Parapithecus fossils, Dryopithecus fossils, and that is very, very important site for the anthropological point of view. The Fayum bed. The Fayum bed is located in Africa, that's the Egypt region, in Ethiopia region. So in Fayum bed, there are numerous fossils still today. If you go and try to excavate the site, you can get it. So now, what are the different procedures in order to arrange those fossils? You are not able to get the fossils in intact way. So one by one, part by part, you can find out the fossils or digging out the fossils from the side, and you can reconstruct these fossils, and you can superimpose by using the different type of computer graphics. So you can use it. So these are fossil primates which are found in the different parts of the world. One by one we will study during our study here. So that is important part. Now by reconstructing the whole things, we can reconstruct our evolutionary past. So you can see that Australopithecus africanus came first, then Australopithecus afarensis, then Australopithecus africanus, then Homo habilis, they are emerging, then Homo erectus, then Homo neanderthalensis, then Homo sapiens. There's a structural difference. The structural difference not only happened, but also the structural difference happened in the brain also. So skill development also changing from the one tools, from the better finished tools, the tool that used in the very, very crude type of tools used by Homo habilis, that is bifacial tools, revolution plate tools. Now we are using the knife and all the sharp tools. And these differences of the manufacturing of the different kind of tools or artifacts, is better finished artifacts, is a development of the skills. And skill, when skill develop when your brain is developed. So see that the Australopithecus brain is very small in structure, then Homo habilis brain, then Homo sapiens brain. And Homo sapiens modern human brain is composed of various type of sulcus and gyrus. Sulcus and gyrus is the folding positions of the brain. If you dissect your head, or if you able to see the brain, so you can see the different kind of compartment in your brain. So different compartment have some different sensory nerves. We can able to adjust your understanding, both vision and smelling and talking. All these are different, but as a human beings, whenever you are studying something, we are using the different sensory organs in a simultaneous way, give rise to a particular understanding as a holistic way. Now, another important scope of physical or biological anthropology is to understand why this kind of human difference exists. That is a morphological difference, how the Mongoloid is different from the Caucasoid, from the Negroid, and specifically not only the racial differences, but also today we are different in terms of ethnicity. Ethnicity composed of not only the difference of biological differences, but also the difference in culture. Now see what the population variation exists. These two pictures in left hand side, that is the Nilotic Negroes, and right hand side, that is Eskimo. These two are the Homo sapiens modern man, but they have the different physical features because they have the different type of culture, different type of environment. The Nilotic Negroes, they are living in the equatorial region where the long-term heat and rainfall are occurring in particular region, a geographical region. That is where their culture, their ecology, based on their particular ecology, and the physical features also related to that. On the other hand, they have very slender bodies, very large body surface, dark in color. These all are very much specific for, these are all specific for understanding to environmental conditions. Population variation exists among, in that particular context, Eskimos. They're living in a very cold climatic conditions. So cold climate needs a very important bulky structure, needs fat in your body in order to conserve heat in your body to regulate the normal physiological functions. So that is why Eskimos is very important. They have their different cultural type. They're living in the Siberian region. So Jane Goodall, they study the primatology. Primatology is the scientific study of the primates. Why you have studied the primates? Is because human beings also have primates. So there is a great story of the Jane Goodall. One day I will tell the story. The Jane Goodall primatology is one of the important scope. See the Dian Fossey. So she studied the gorilla already murdered due to the conservative nature of Dian Fossey, and the murderer, basically the theft, the different kind of antisocial elements who entered into the African forest and tried to capture the head of the gorilla, because the head of the gorilla and arm of the gorilla is very much attached to the cultural belief of the African tribal populations in particular regions. Human genetics is another scope of particular biological anthropological context. Human Genome Project, there are so long time ago in 2001, I think the Human Genome Project completed, and number of anthropologists they involved the particular thing. Human karyotype is related, the anthropometry, the study, the measurement of the different body parts, and also the human crania. That is important. Human growth study, this is also the scope. And another important thing is the non-timber forest products. These non-timber forest products, the indigenous population, the tribal population of the India and also the different parts of the world, they are using the different kind of roots and tubers from the forest. So they are mainly depend on the forest in order to consumption. And this is very important for biological anthropological point of view, because whatever you are consuming, this is reflecting in your body surface, and that will give you the structure. And that is adaptive. As I told you that forensic anthropology is another important part where you can basically how the analytical methods can be used to understand the suspect, and it can be helped to find out the suspect by using the different evidences as assessed by the police and also the doctors. Only the forensic anthropologists they can't able to understand identify the suspect. So they can able to do their jobs to identify the particular specimen, whether it is human or it is a specimen of the other species. How many bones they have. What kind of is this bones or bone not a bones? Is it a blood stain or it is a simple a color? So by using the different kind of methodology in the anthropological methods, in biological anthropological methods, we can understand, we can able to identify those, and we can able to supply this the evidences to the police or the medical doctor for further investigation. And important thing is medical anthropology. As I said, that this medical anthropology is a sub-discipline of anthropology, where you can use to understand the different biological concept of different kind of diseases, and how this kind of different kind of diseases are treated and prevented and healing process by the human community themselves, because there is a cultural link between the particular disease and the preventive measures. So you can use the genetic counseling. This is also the scope of biological anthropology. And lastly, the COVID-19 cases, you know that there is a strong link of anthropology and epidemiology, discussion particular disease and how to prevent this disease from in order to protect the human beings. So epidemiology is very much related to the human culture, as because there are a number of diseases which is related to the human culture. I have I have already shooted one telecast for High News channel, and that will be telecasted I think 19 or 16 September. If I will get any information, I will give you and go to the High News channel. You can watch how this anthropology is related to the public health and epidemiology. So as a whole, this is the holism is the main context, not only the biological aspect, but also the cultural and social aspect that is important for understanding. Then you can use this holistic understanding in applied anthropology. There's the relevance of the applied anthropology, and you see that is important aspects where you can understand the biology and culture all together. So with this note, I think time has already been cost because time for today's class, and why I am explaining the biological anthropology only based on the English, because English language, because I would like to share these slides in public domain, not so that apart from you people, the other people from the other parts of the world, they can also able to understand the anthropology, specifically those students who are studying anthropology in South and Southeast Asia and Asian context. Thank you. Do you have any question today? Okay, now I stop the recording.